Okay, so in this lesson, we're gonna be covering solar panel datasheet information and how we can embed it into our solar panel Revit family. So essentially, I've got this idea because I was working on a solar farm project for a client and they wanted me to embed information of the data sheet into their Revit family. So I thought it would be interesting if I can cover this and show you guys how we can go about different types of parameters and how we can associate them. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with our lesson. So we're gonna keep it basic. Under family, you're gonna say new and say metric generic model and say open. So we're gonna generate our family and then after that, we're gonna associate parameters towards that family. So essentially, we're gonna have 6 different types of parameters that we are going to associate, which are identity, electrical performances, physical dimensions, mounting information, performance, and asset information. So in this instance, we're gonna start with number 3, which is physical dimensions. So I'm gonna go under reference planes. I'm gonna place 2 of them, one on each side. And then I'm just gonna place some dimensions. Let's put these ones and make them equal. Do the same thing for that one. Okay, so let's apply some parameters. So this is gonna be our panel width. Say okay. And then this one is gonna be our panel length. Say okay. And then I'm gonna change it to 2.5 and then let's change this one to 5,000. Okay. So after this, I'm gonna go to the front elevation, create reference plane. I'm gonna place one on top. The thickness of this one, I'm gonna make it 100 and then I'm gonna place my dimension. So this is going to be my panel thickness and say okay. And then I'm gonna lock it. So after this, I'm just gonna generate my geometry. So I'm gonna go to the front elevation still. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to create and say sweep. Actually, let's go to the reference level. And then you can still go with sweep and say sketch path. Place a rectangle, place it within the bounds of your reference planes, and then you're just gonna lock it on all the sides. Say finish, edit profile. You're gonna go to the left elevation and then draw your profile for your steel frame of your aluminum frame. So I'm just gonna place it as an L shape. So I'm gonna start from this point, make it 100 on both sides, and then with an offset of let's say 20 millimeters, I think it's fine. 20 millimeters, join it like that. And then if I go to the 3D view and say finish, it's gonna be looking like that. So this is basically our aluminum frame. So I'm just gonna change it to aluminum, load it in, apply as our material. So the next thing is I'm gonna go to the reference level. I'm gonna place one on the bottom using an extrusion, place it like that, and then I'm just gonna lock it on all the sides. Finish, and then the extrusion end, I'm gonna change it to 100. So let's go to the 3D view. Actually, not 100, it has to be 20. There you go, perfect. So you're gonna select it, and I'm gonna change it to aluminum as well. And then I'm just gonna place one extrusion, which is, yeah, I'm just gonna place one extrusion. So I'm gonna start from this point and then towards that point. So I'm gonna lock it on all the sides and say finish. And then its thickness, I'm gonna change it to I'm going to change it to 80. Okay, so I'm going to select it and I'm just going to change its material to glass in this instance. So the level of detail is just basic. Let's see if our material, let's just type in glass. I'm going to go with a different glass block. We can go with that one maybe. Or let's go with this one, glass. Yeah, let's go with this one. Apply and then okay. Okay, it's fine. So let me just go to the front elevation and I'm just gonna drag it towards the top. And I think like that it's fine. Another thing I forgot to do is to let's just lock the two extrusions against each other so that when you change the thickness, it also changes. One thing we can do is we can just select the extrusion we've created and then let's just duplicate this and then I'm gonna name it monocrystalline, and then after this I'm gonna go to appearance. Under appearance, yeah, appearance, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this. Okay, we have graphics. Yeah, so under custom color we can go with no, we're gonna go with graphics, and then the foreground. Okay, that's not it. Let's see, appearance. Yeah, you can select. So you're gonna go under appearance and then custom color. You're gonna drop down this arrow and say image, and then you can search for monocrystalline solar panels on the internet, and then you can come across with one of these images. So you're gonna load this in. But if you guys want a frame of reference, you can go to one of my previous tutorials where I did a monocrystalline solar panel. I think that's the best example that I can give you. And you can just say open, apply, okay, and then it's gonna look like this. Okay, so this is how it looks. All right, but in terms of the level of detail, I'm not too fixated on that. The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how we can embed like the datasheet information. So let's go with that. So essentially, we are done with our dimensions, physical dimensions. So the next thing we're gonna tackle is our identity data. So I'm gonna go to new parameter and then I'm gonna name this one manufacturer, and then I'm gonna make it a text and then group it under identity data. So it's identity data, and say okay. So manufacturer is already defined, so I'm just gonna rename this to PV manufacturer and say okay. All right, and then is text. I made it length by mistake, so let's just remove this. This is text and then PV manufacturer and then group it under identity data. Okay, the next one is gonna be PV, or let's name this panel type and then make it a text and then group it under identity data as well. And then the next one is gonna be panel ID. Same thing, data type text, and then group it under identity data. And then this one is gonna be PV serial number, make it a text, and then identity data as well. Okay, let's say apply and then okay. So we're gonna go back there. We're gonna create electrical performance parameters. So go to new, and then this one is gonna be the rated power. So I'm gonna change the discipline to electrical, and then I'm gonna change this to power, and then I'm gonna group it under electrical and say, and then the parameter I'm gonna leave it as type and say okay. So we have what, as you can see. I'm gonna create another one. So this one is gonna be module module efficiency. So in brackets it's gonna be in percentage, and then I'm gonna group it under electrical, and then I'm gonna make it let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna make it common, and then change it to let's change it to number, and then I'm gonna group it under electrical as well. So I'm gonna say okay, and then when you can punch in whatever the percentage you like, and then it's gonna change it to a decimal. I think it's fine. So I'm gonna create another one. So this one is gonna be voltage at max power. So I'm gonna change this to the electrical, and then I'm gonna change, and I'm gonna change it to let's see. I'm gonna change it to apparent power, and then I'm gonna group it under electrical and say okay. Okay, let's go to edit. Actually, let's remove this. I'm gonna name it again voltage at max power. I'm gonna change this to electrical, and then let's see. I'm gonna change it to electrical potential, and then group it under electrical and say okay. So it's in voltage. Okay, the next one is the current at max power. Group it under discipline is electrical, and then data type is current, and then I'm gonna group it under electrical and say okay. All right, so I'm gonna say apply and then okay. Go back to my properties. The next one is my okay. The physical dimensions are there. The mounting. So I'm gonna go to new parameter, and then obviously this is the tilt. For the mounting, we have the tilt angle, even though we haven't created the angle. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is and say I think it's fine under length. Actually, no, it's angle. Data type is angle, and then you can group it under dimensions, so it's fine. But I'm gonna make it an instance parameter. Actually, it's fine as type parameter and say okay. All right. So the next thing is the mounting type. So this one, I'm gonna say new mounting type, and then discipline is fine as common. This is gonna be a text, and then I'm just gonna group it under identity data as well. So I'm gonna say okay. So mounting type, you can say like it's a roof or a ground or a tracker, and so on. I'm gonna say apply, and then performance. We have the performance. So for under performance, the first one we're gonna go with is the shading factor. I'm gonna change it to number because the shading factor it's between 0 and 1, I think. And yeah, so I'm gonna place it under other. I think it's fine. And then I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna create a new one which is reflectance, which is based on the reflection of the solar, reflection of the sun on the solar panel, and the unit of measurement is in percentage. So let's reflectance, and it's in percentage. I'm gonna change this to number. I'm gonna group it under other, and then the third one is gonna be degradation factor, which is also in percentage. And I'm gonna group it under number and then other and say okay. The last one are the assets. So under asset we have installation date. So I'm just gonna group this under text, and then let's group it under identity. Okay, let's see, green building. I'm gonna group it under general and say okay. Let's create this. Another one is gonna be the warranty expiration. I'm gonna change it to text, and then I'm gonna group it under general. With general and say okay. So yeah, that's it. So like I said, in terms of the datasheet information, we have 6 types of parameters that we associate with our family. So the first one is identity, and this includes the PV manufacturer, serial number, panel ID, panel type. Second one is electrical performances, which covers the currents, the voltages, the power, and so on. The third one is the physical dimensions, which are these ones: the length, thickness, width, and the angles. And then the fourth one is the mounting. And the mounting, we can include the tilt angle and also the mounting type, which is placed under identity data. Obviously, you can create shared parameter whereby we can classify these types of parameters on our own and then associate them. And then we have the performances, which are placed under other. We have the shading factor, reflectance, degradation factor, degradation rate, which is not factor, it's rate. Say okay. And then we have the assets. So asset is all about asset management, and this includes this is convenient for operations and maintenance, and this includes installation dates, warranty expiration. So yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for watching. You can populate this information based on the configurations that you guys have on your disposal, and let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next tutorial. Peace.